Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about the difference between the terms animation, motion graphics, visual effects, and CGI. Make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to tell you how I make money producing animated videos and how you could do it too. One thing I want to mention before we get started is that what we're about to talk about is more of like a general overview of the terms. You could really make an entire video about each of the subjects that I'm going to talk about in this video. There's so many other videos on YouTube similar to this one that talk about each of these subjects in greater detail. I've included links in the description to other YouTube channels that do a great job at explaining this stuff more in depth. And I really do believe that they're a great resource for learning this kind of stuff. Alright, so let's start with CGI. Plain and simple, CGI just refers to imagery completely made within computers. The acronym stands for Computer Generated Imagery, and it's the broader umbrella term for everything we're about to talk about in this video. Alright, now let's dive a little deeper. Now we're going to talk about visual effects. What VFX really is the combination of live action footage with CGI. Taking live action footage, taking computer generated images, and then marrying them together into one cohesive composition. The process of actually putting them together is called compositing. And that is a whole skill on its own. VFX can oftentimes involve shooting footage against a green screen and then keying out the green screen, which is the process of actually removing the green from the background, which leaves you with your subject being isolated from everything else in the background. Another core aspect of VFX is motion tracking, or 3D camera tracking. Camera tracking basically tells the computer what the camera was doing in real life, so that you can then create a virtual camera that matches the movement of the one in real life. Once you motion track your footage, you can then start layering it and compositing it a lot more easily. Compositing is a skill on its own, and it mainly refers to taking different elements and actually combining them together. Compositing relies heavily on layers, and a great software to composite your VFX is in After Effects. A great YouTube channel for learning about visual effects, and is my personal favorite, is Corridor Crew. I learned so much from those guys and they're incredibly talented. I would highly recommend watching some of their content because you can really learn a lot. Next, let's talk about motion graphics. Motion graphics is an extension of graphics design, and is typically associated with setting abstract objects and shapes and text into motion. Motion graphics isn't necessarily just 3D or 2D, it could actually be a combination of both. Motion graphics can also be referred to as motion design, and this is because motion graphics and motion design are really about focusing on the actual movement. So a lot of times you're going to deal with things like speed curves and plotting keyframes on a graph and adjusting the interpolation between keyframes. And keyframe interpolation is just the process of telling the computer how one object goes from point A to point B. The lines between motion graphics and other types of animation can oftentimes be blurred and confused with one another. Oftentimes, the job of a motion graphics artist is really to communicate information in the form of infographics or typography. A good motion graphics artist will usually have a good understanding of the principles of graphics design and animation. This can be things like weight, proximity, hierarchy, balance, color, and for animation it can be things like squash and stretch, and the list goes on. Now let's talk about the term animation. The word animation is an umbrella term that really refers to putting anything in motion. To animate something just means to make it move. But animation as a specific art form focuses more on cinematic effects and storytelling techniques to craft a narrative. Animators should have an understanding of visual storytelling and cinematic techniques such as composition, camera movement, lighting, art direction, story arcs, and the list goes on. Animation has so many core concepts that it would really take many videos to fully explain the subject in depth. Animation is different from motion graphics in the sense that motion designers are a specific type of animator. Some specific skills that animators must know are keyframing, arguably being the most important, speed curves, rigging, parenting, kinematics, and the list goes on. Alright guys, as promised, I'm going to tell you about how I've been making money producing animated videos for different brands and artists. The first thing is to have a portfolio and a body of work. This can be on your website or social media, but for me personally, Instagram seems to work best. The truth about this is that if you want to make money, you really are going to have to get your work to a certain level. Take a look at what other brands that you like have done, and then try to create something that looks similar to that. If you're still not at that level and you're not ready to do that, just keep doing tutorial after tutorial, and I really recommend challenging yourself to create something new every single day. That's going to accelerate your growth and get you to the level that you want to be at. Once you have that, start building up a portfolio of work, and the best thing you could do for yourself is to post your work like there's no tomorrow. You want people to know what you are capable of. So post your projects, even if they're bad, you can take them down later, but just keep posting consistently. Another tip that will really help you is post behind the scenes. If you've ever seen videos where they show like the layers of the VFX process, That's gonna really make it look like you know what you're doing, and even showing behind the scenes. Grab your phone, take a picture of your computer screen, show the 3D software. You could even just take a little video of yourself and kind of like explain what it is that you're doing to the camera. Post that on the Instagram story, post it on Facebook, post it on TikTok, post it wherever. Make sure that people around you know what you do. All right guys, thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I hope you learned something. Feel free to comment any questions that you have down below, or you can send me a message on Instagram with any questions that you may have. All right guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.